Hello everyone, my name is Zena Kasim from Aviation Tanzania, bringing you news, interviews, and several updates on aviation sector both in Tanzania and beyond. And today we are honored to have a special guest probably, who is Mr. Pablo Miguel Frederico Alves, a seasoned maintenance and engineering manager in one of the leading airlines in Tanzania. He has over 20 years of experience in the aviation sector as a certified and a licensed aircraft maintenance engineer and a manager of maintenance teams and operations here in Tanzania. Mr. Pablo, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's such an honor to have you in this interview.
The honor is all mine. Thank you.
So we also have an aviation profession, Mr. Stanislaus Maganga, who is going to join us today in this interview. Mr. Maganga, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining us today. Yeah. So, Mr. Pablo, can you tell us a little bit, how does it feel being an aircraft maintenance profession for over 20 years in Tanzania, in aviation sector in Tanzania?
It is quite a challenge, but I would say a very good one, because the expectation that I had, or it was over, let me say it was fulfilled, and also the ones that my employers that invited me to come to Tanzania, I'm hoping it was also fulfilled. So it has been quite a journey. It has been, but very good, a very good one. Yeah.
Can you tell us your journey from how you started the training of being an aircraft maintenance up to where you are right now?
Well, I started about 27 years back. I knew at the time that the national airlines Cape Verdean, so the national airline in Cape Verde, was about to open a training at that level with an European company. And I was, since my early age, this is what I was willing to do. So it was my passion. Aviation was my passion. I had two passions in life. One is fixing things, and the other one is aviation, aircraft. So they marry each other. So I see being an aircraft engineer was the next step to be given. So having that opportunity, I was already subscribed in university in Brazil. So, but I had a baby son, which now has 28 years old. So at the time, I said, well, I need to follow my son's days, and I couldn't leave my baby at home and departure so far. So the national airline was open this opportunity, so I joined the training. Actually, the screening, we had to pass for a lot of testing, a lot of interviews, and finally I was chosen as one of the 20s to be in that training. The good thing is that I was already working, because that training was being pushed for a couple of years. So I started already working in the company in the commercial area. So I have already the background. Before being in the maintenance, I was already in commercial for 2 years of an airline, the national airline. And later on, I started as a certified maintenance engineer. I went all that process all the way through the examinations and for the licensing and the time of experience. And when I start really and the signing off for the aircraft release, was after, let me say, almost 6 years after you already had a license. So it's a whole process. And later on, when you continue gaining experience, years are passing, 10 years, I worked for the national airline for 13 years. I felt like it was time to give the next step. As the national airline, unfortunately, it's a small airline. The country is also a bit small, so opportunities for young engineers were not so much as you might have here in Tanzania, where there's a lot of companies. It was one only company. So for you to get promotion, for you to get to the next level, there's has to be openings. So the people that were already, my colleagues that were in a senior level, they were nowhere close to be to retirement. So I said, well, it has to be now time for me to go to the next step. So the next step would be going out of the country. Yeah. So I need to prepare myself to get out of the country. So I start having more classes in English, having more to make my English even more proficient. So it took me about another 3 years, and I start, getting invitations to go for other airlines. So with my background also on documentation and caring about the airworthiness part of it, so I got the invitation for another private airline that was to open. It was basically to help them certify and become and start flying. So there was the starting of the adventure per se, going there for 3 years, and later on getting managerial position. I was like the line manager, so shift leader and line manager. I had many other functions. So there was where I started this thing of managing staff. And from there, with a visit of Equatorial Guinea president to my country, it saw how the country was developed in terms of aviation. He had the resources. He wanted to do the same model that was at home. So he invested and he invited professionals from Cape Verde Islands to go to Equatorial Guinea and make the very same thing that was already happening in the country. So I was one of the professionals that got this invitation. I went there, and in 3 months' time, where the work that we performed probably was so satisfying for them, because immediately the invitation to become the maintenance manager came out, and I accepted. For 6 months, I was struggling, to accept it because I was not so sure. And of course, after those 3 months, the family said, you've been doing this already, so why not accepting this? So I accepted, and I stayed in Equatorial Guinea for 7 years. And later on, I got the invitation to come to Tanzania. So here I am, another 7 years.
Tell us, Mr. Pablo, a little bit about your job. What are your roles in a day-to-day operations in an airline?
Well, it's basically the airworthiness part of it. Okay, a CEO of an airline is the responsible for the job. Let me say, it's the accountable manager close to the civil aviation of the country. Is he the maximum responsible for an airline? But the CEO is a man. He has his own expertise, but he cannot, know about everything. So he delegates in experts part of his responsibility, but he's still being accountable. But the responsibility he delegates to experts. So in operations, you will find an expert that is running the operations. In maintenance, you will find a maintenance expert to run the maintenance part. So there is where I am. So I'm responsible for that part, for that sector of the airline I'm working on behalf of my CEO. So I'm responsible to execute and to guarantee that the aircraft that is operating for this airline is always in a fit mode to fly.
As I introduced to you before, that today we are honored to have an interview with Mr. Pablo Miguel Frederico Alves, a seasoned maintenance and engineering manager in one of the leading airlines here in Tanzania. He has been explaining to us about his journey from where he started the training in aircraft maintenance up to where he is right now. Can you tell us a little bit about what are the challenges that you had to face in this role that you have right now?
Well, challenges in aviation is, let me say, it's almost our daily life situation. And it's every day you will have a new thing, and you need to be ready for that and accept it and just cope with it and So one of the challenges that mostly I found not very pleasant in this role is to manage people. I really prefer to stay with the machines.
It doesn't have to be managed.
Yeah, no, the machine has to be managed. They are quite moody, but at least, you know, the machines, they are straight and forward. The problem with the human beings is that we are not always straight and forward, and we don't really, many times we are saying something and we are not meant that thing. So this issue of have to always interpret what that means. What is this feeling? What is behind? What is people, this guy or this lady is telling me? So that is the worst part of it. So that's the real challenge. And this in the same length, you know, people gets very moody. Machines are not so moody. So that's why
People have emotions naturally.
Sure, and that's the beauty of it. You know, the fact that we have emotions, we are not the same. So that's a really challenge. You know, every day you need to cope with that. Understand this guy, okay, is not in a good moment today. So let us come and start this over tomorrow, or give it some time, come back later, or even yourself. Sometimes you wake up and you are there, your personal stuff, or even you are not living in a good personal moment. But if you are a professional, you need just to put that aside, because you are managing people, these people have expectation. They don't wait for you to get better so they can come to you. So your problem is your problem, so you deal with them. So those are the challenges that I think they are more stressful.
How do you keep a profession into that kind of situation?
It comes with time. Because people there, you will find a lot of gurus all over there. A lot of trainings, psychologists telling you do this and do that. You need is to know your signs, you know, and that comes with time and experience. Understand that those moments, how you should react. It's all about you reading yourself, knowing how you'll do with that. It's not something that can be taught. My experience is. It's not something that you can be taught. Of course, you can sit in a classroom, they'll give you some techniques, you understand, okay, if it's coming to this moment, I can apply this technique, it might work. It's not that simple, you know. People are not black or white or yellow, you know, sometimes it gets blurry, it gets gray, sometimes it gets rose. So you need to understand that there's no formula to that, and each situation, you need to assess it properly. So those things comes with experience. They are not taught. And as a manager, you need to be prepared all the time for those facts to be changed and to be presented to you. Yeah.
What is the hardest decision that you had to make in your role? Can you tell us the scenario?
Well, that's a hard one. Yeah, there've been plenty of it, but there will come times as a manager that you need to pull your gallons, to say, and bring some sanity to, you know, really emotional moments, really the situations. Of course, it's one-on-one situation with the staff, and you need to frame them and make them understand that there are limits, you know. When you are talking about with a manager, you're not talking only with a person. You're talking with it is a role. It is a situation. It is an institution, per se. You understand? So, you as a person, when you are nominated to that position, you need to defend it. You need to defend it and to honor it. Honor him means always fulfilled with expectation that from the manager that nominated to you, the company that you are serving, and also the entire condition, you know, the staff and etc. But whenever you get challenged, whenever people start putting you aside, they put you in a corner where now the position is in jeopardy, the honor of that position, it is your duty to defend it. So you need to understand and separate the things. That moment you need really to pull your balance, and you need to tell the staffs that they might not like. So we had situations. I had situations all over the where I've been working, and it had to come to a point where I had to terminate somebody's contract, or better saying, I had to bring him to the HR to terminate and propose the termination of his contract. I must say that was the most unpleasant moment I had. It was the first and the only one so far. I wouldn't like to do something like that. It wasn't here in Tanzania, it was abroad. So I really had to do that because the person was really disrespecting the position. It was no longer, I don't feel these things as personal. You cannot. You'd have to understand that it is a task. People nominate you to execute a job. And one of the part of your job is to defend that position. So in the defense of that position, in honoring that position, you really need to understand that there should be limits in the way that people address to you, your staff address to you, and let this person step out of the boundaries. So I had to bring him to HR, and he ended up being terminated.
How do you make critical decisions when you are under pressure? What is your techniques or approach?
You guys really are putting the well, it is not something that you can get it in from the school, from the books. Again, it's one of those situations that you have psychologists training you how to apply. If this happened, apply this technique. If this happened, you apply this technique. But as I told you once, I suffer from a disorder, meal disorder, that I cannot stand still as a kid. It happens, and I've been diagnosed with that since I'm a kid. Yes, it's kind of. You cannot stay still, so I have to always be occupied doing something. My mind needs to be always occupied, reading something. My hands needs to be doing something. Up to now, I can still feel it. So you lose me if we are in a meeting and you are prolonging that thing for so long. I still need to police myself and apply one of those techniques. But it's inherent. So this also, it's very critical when it comes to the challenge that you are saying, when you are in a critical moment to make a decision, knowing that you are somebody that suffers from this and you tend to go so fast in doing that. And in this industry, being at these moments, being too fast, it's a problem, right? Because decision making, if it's wrong done, you might be costing people's life, you might be costing millions of dollars in terms of equipment, in tooling. So that's not the position that you want to be. So knowing this previously, having the experience, an experimented person, and you know your limits, you know your problems, I normally step down a little bit and I try to gain some time to cool down the moment. And the technique I use is normally request my staff to give me more data, asking the staff, bring more information so I can make a decision. So that gives me precious seconds, minutes, sometimes even hours for you to you calm yourself. You can put all your facts together, so then you can come with something that can fit to that moment. But it's not an easy thing. You really need to negotiate time to time.
Is there any kind of training that you guys in aviation are given that it help them? Maybe, I don't know, human factors training, SMS training. What can you say about that?
Both of them are very important, especially if they are tailored to the situation of your specific place where you are working. I mean, if it's a company in Tanzania, why not picking the facts, the things that are happening inside that company, documented, and later on you bring them to the staff and you debate. That's how the experience is made. You know, people, they get, you make your debates, and you make your facts, you expose the facts, and then you discuss what would be the best approach to those situations. So human factor trainings and SMS are crucial to get those experience in.
Fine. So, as you have mentioned, human factors training and the SMS trainings are crucial to help the aviation personnel making decisions, especially in critical moments. In your experience here in Tanzania, what can you say about those trainings? Are they really available and adequate enough, or something need to be done so that we can have them more effective?
Well, you have the companies are in Tanzania. It's not only in Tanzania; it's everywhere. I think it's global in aviation. It's mandatory for you to have SMS training and human factor training. So SMS, safety management system training. So some companies adopt, and well, I think internal. They have internal instructor. They have their internal syllabus exactly to execute something that, as I said, tailored to their situation and the environment where they are. But others opt to get this from external third parties. It's not that it's not good. It's just that this third party is not embedded inside your airline many times. So it doesn't have that experience of the life in that airline. So in the company I work, I passed the publicity in Precision Air. We have our own internal SMS and human factor instructors. We have our curriculum, and it has been instrumental to perfect so many problems that the company leave. There's still being a lot to be done, but it's been proven to be very good in terms of accommodating and solving so many problems that we were facing, especially in the human factor point of view. Yeah.
Maybe how many or how what are other kind of trainings that you would recommend, or you feel they are good for the organization to develop or have them, so that to improve its organization performance in terms of safety and the operations?
You know, we tend to think that as we are working every day, we know what we are doing. In fact, I used to. Was also my thought when I started in aviation. But with time, I learned that, you know, you start getting accommodated to the ways that you are doing those things. It's not good. So one of the trainings that I feel it's very important, apart from SMS and human factor, is also the training about regulation to force our staff. Unfortunately, in Africa, the schools, our parents, they don't motivate us so much for reading. And reading is a problem, but reading in aviation is crucial, you know, because it's the books are so stiff, you know, there are so many pages. So people tend to be not very much comfortable in going through them. But everything that you need to know, they are there. So forcing, in brackets, people to sit and have a moment in reading. And you will see that so many times after those moments, after those trainings, senior people will start looking at you and say, man, are those things in the manual? When you change this rule? Because, yes, it is there in their job prescription. They need to be constantly reading, constantly updating themselves. But are they really doing? I don't think it's only in Africa. My reality, I know it's the African reality. So this is what I can speak about it. So forcing the trainings that can bring the people sitting some moments, specific parts of regulation, specific parts of the manual, to make people aware that this part has changed. You know, you need to know about it. It's not that you put it in your head like memorizing, but at least you know that it's there whenever you need. You have to come and consult. You need to come and read it. It's something that is really missing in our culture, aviation culture in Africa. Yeah.
how do you define a good and professional aircraft engineer?
Yeah. Well, that's as any professional, he needs to be dedicated. Maintenance engineer is not somebody that goes different, from other professions. How you get a good doctor? Somebody that cares. Not only cares about the person, but he cares about what he's doing. So he cares about being the best all the time, getting the best information, cultivating himself to do more than what is being asked to do. Go beyond what you are, people's expectation. If you aim for that, any professional, it's not only in the engineers, in any professional, you will always be respected and seen as somebody that is a very good professional in your area. So an engineer is not much different. You just need to have a little bit more of consistency, because it's very important also for an engineer to be consistent in the process of learning, constant learning. And I think that's it. Those are the doses for any professional to be.
How do you see the aviation industry in Tanzania, and how do you compare it with any other countries in Africa?
Tanzania is in a very, very beautiful moment now. The country, there's a lot of challenges coming for the young. For the professionals in aviation in Tanzania, it's a very nice moment to be. If people outside, the population, if they knew, if the parents knew, I think if they see their kids have an appeal to come to aviation, let them come. It's the moment to invest, because the tourism is booming in the country. So people are discovering the parks, the beaches on the Zanzibar beaches, etc. So there's a lot of things happening. On the other hand, the Tanzanians themselves, they are not for the next few decades, they will enjoy this progress. The capability of having acquisition, services, more comfortable and suitable transportation means. Many people are getting cars. Many people are now able to travel by train. So those commodities, they come with the developing of the economy of the country. So this is giving the Tanzanians a very big opportunity right now in aviation. You see, so many companies now are acquiring, apart from Tanzania, which it's the government company that has been investing so much in new aircrafts, new equipments. New people are getting trained in these equipments. They are state-of-the-art equipment. There are other airlines bringing more aircrafts, because population is demanding. Also, the tourists that are coming to visit Tanzania is demanding. So I would say is in a very, very crucial moment. But it's also in a very dangerous moment. Why? Because the investment, when you had this inflation, this booming, people coming, they have a tendency also to go out of your hands if the people that are supposed to be overseeing this, controlling the airworthiness of this aircraft that are flying in the skies of Tanzania, if they are not properly trained, if they are not enough in numbers, if the regulation is not well adapted to the situation that you are, you shouldn't be, let me say, a laissez-faire, open hand, do whatever you want, but also you shouldn't be so tight, so tough that economically it becomes impossible for this company and for this industry to develop. So it is a very challenging and very nice moment for me. That's where I like to be.
Speaking about the professionals in the country, what can you say about the availability of competent engineers in the country, or in general, aviation professionals in the country? And maybe if you had experienced any challenges, especially in your roles, in getting them to perform the tasks that you wished to have?
Oh, I would say it's the most critical aspect of aviation in Tanzania now. In any sector inside an airline, there's deficiency of staff, competent staff. This is an industry that doesn't forgive. You don't, you cannot play around, if I get a guy that is in another field, I can transform him to be, it becomes very expensive for you to run a company like that. So what you need is people that understand their role in those areas, so they can self manage what is the expectation that the companies or the aviation themselves waits from them. So when I reached Tanzania, unfortunately, the situation in the company where I was critical, because it was exactly the moment that National Airline was bringing new equipment. So, new babies coming, the people want to join. That's the greener pasture. So what is the next move? Is you go into the market and bring in new professionals to there. There wasn't any, especially in maintenance field, which is very expensive to train people, and it takes a lot of many years. So no airline, no school was available. I know there are so many technical institutes, etc., but up to now, 7 years later, I think that's one of the frustrations I have. I couldn't say that the government has taken hands on this, has forecasted how the industry is pressuring to have these people available in the market, and to the point where now it is like a bloody sea. People the airlines are killing each other to have these professionals, which is making now the pricing of the staff getting so high. Don't get me wrong, I have nothing wrong against people getting good salaries, well paid. The problem is that balance needs to be there. If the balance is not there, then this airline doesn't have a sense of meaning to continue existing, because it's a business. Yeah. And as a business, the investor put his money somehow in the future is expecting to have some returns of the investment. So a company, because it's paying huge salaries, not only that, but it has other challenges also to fulfill, and is not making profit, soon is going to die. So this is what we will be ending if this balance is not respected. So I would expect that the government take hands on this. I know there's a lot of projects ongoing now. The Chinese government has financed it. I know there's an institute that is trying to do that. But it should be seen more seriously, with more capability. So the professionals that needs to be there passing this information need really to be people that are capable of transmitting. It's not only producing stuff and graduating and throw them in the market, and there is the next step of because the professional cannot enter, for example, in like a pilot or an engineer, they cannot be in the field if they don't have license. So they need to be prepared for that next step, to go to the authority and be able to do those exams. The authority also, in the other hand, needs to be available, not when they think they can be available, because as I said, the resources also, these guys also has a lot of challenges, and there's not enough staff there. Regulation is very strict. My point of view, too strict in the terms of examination. Is not fit for today's reality. My opinion, personal opinion, not the opinion, not an expert on that field also, because I don't do laws. But my feeling, compared to other realities, my license is European. I can feel the examinations are more at very old-fashioned, still in Tanzania, old generation, from the time that the British was still around. The other reality is way different, and you can feel they are really promoting to have more professional, the industry to have more professionals there, without discarding the quality of the process, the professionals to be there, but to be with some quality and to be able to grow in the future. Because you can sit there in TCA, you can be an entire year from people that are, again, not a critique, just saying the reality, okay, that I live. A licensed engineer that comes from abroad, what is expected from them is to be to study the country regulation, pass through exam, and be given the credits that because he's already a licensed engineer. But no, what happens in Tanzania is a whole different story. Apart from going for that legislation to prove that you already read and you understand what is the legislation, it is like you are being tested again as all over to pass it. You know, for these people that has 20 years, like me, 20, 30 years in aviation, I would say it's not fair. Because you are going to ask the guys the very basic, the things that he studied 30 years back, to prove what? That he's an engineer. He's already an engineer. He has a license to prove that. You don't trust that license, call his authority that endorsed him the license and to make sure. Call the company that he has been working. There's ways of doing the cross-checking, the due diligence to be sure that this person is not a fake. Because there's a lot of professionals also. Unfortunately, in any industry, it happens. The other day, we just learned that there's a medic doing operation for 20 years in Europe, and it was not really a medic. They found out 20 years later that the guy has been operating the people. Nobody. There's another case in South Africa, a pilot, a captain, that he even went for retirement, almost getting in retirement. There is when they learn. A 747 captain, instructor, I don't know what. They never been in an aviation school, but he's been there. You understand what I mean? So it will always be oversight. But what is good is to trust the system. If you have a system that is really tough, it's really robust, and is working, that is minimum. I mean, it's reduced to the minimum because it will happen. Zero findings is impossible in any industry, especially in aviation that is so much ruled.
So in short here, Pablo, what you're saying is one of the problems that create this shortage of personnel is lack of institutions and also challenges with the stiff regulations.
Yes, I would not say lack of institutions. Institutions are there, but the institution to be functioning.
Like training.
Exactly. The institution, you need to have more schools, for sure. Country has what, 64 million person? Yes. How many of them are young? I think the average age, thank God, for Tanzanians is 22, 24 years old. It's a very young country. So there's the workforce. The country has a potential. It has the, let me say, the material to work out and build. If you go to China, you will see the whole country policy is turned for productivity. Who produce? The elder people are not producing anymore. They are there just to do the basics and arrive the time for their retirement. So who is producing is the young people. So the investment need to be there. I'll give you one example. I have many challenges and critics about my government from the country where I'm coming, Cape Verde Islands. But one thing I really appreciate there, we are tiny, only 500,000 people, but 1/4 of the budget of the government for education is turned 1/4. You know, starting with the teachers, they're going to teach the teachers. They have to be at least master. So there are schools, they invest in sending these people abroad. Whenever there was this cooperation between the states, they didn't ask, build me a stadium, build me a hospital. They said, no, give me beccas. I need to send my people to train, get them exposure. There's good things and bad things about that. Being a country of immigration, whenever these people, most of these people, when they get, they stay. They don't come back. But the good thing is they never lose ties with the country. They always invest in the country, okay? So this is to say, these professionals, when they get back, they are exposed to another reality, and they bring to come to teach these teachers, which later on are the ones coming to teach our kids. So they invest a lot on that. Now, for the first time in almost 50 years of independence, is when we are getting universities. Because it's not that the government didn't want to have a university. They said, we don't have the resources, the basic resource, which is the human, the teachers to be there with the capability to teach the teachers. So we have universities, institutes, that is only exclusively to teach the teachers. And these are the ones that are going to our kids. So the investment needs to be there in education.
On your side, you faced this challenge, lack of personnel. Still, your aircraft you were supposed needed to be airworthy. How did you cope with it? What did you do?
Unfortunately, here's where it becomes expensive for the airline, because you cannot negotiate in not executing what it has to be executed. So you have lack of personnel. So one task that was supposed to take, let me say, an entire check that was supposed to take 1 month, it will take you 3 months. So if you think that these aircrafts are built for a business and they need to be on air to make money, we need to make flights. This is what an airline lives on: selling cargo space, selling seats to transport people from A to B. So if that's no longer available, if this aircraft is staying 60 days more than what it was planned to be on ground, that's 60 days of revenue that you are denying to the airline. So here's the challenge. When you don't have enough professionals, you need to step back. You need to put in the drawing board in your program that is going to take longer for you to execute what is necessary. So if you think that it's an aircraft that needs to come back for doing a heavy check every 2 years, if 60 days in 24 months, 2 months is a lot. If you put it in proportion, that's a lot of money that you are denying to the airline. So this is how bad the lack of personnel, moreover, the lack of competent personnel is hitting the industry in Tanzania.
So you only delayed checks?
That's one, the delay in the checks, and also the investment. Now you need to invest a lot in training, supplemented training, not only the mandatory training, but now you have to go beyond. You have to give more, because you need to fast track this. The company cannot cope. Okay, they can tolerate you having these losses for a certain number of years. But then you just need to come up with a solution. These people need to step up. They need to come fast so we no longer suffer from this problem. How? Well, these trainings, this exposure, picking the staff, sending them, for example, how we do. We send them to Kenya Airways, which is a airline. So to fast track them, be able to be in industry or in a company where there's more exposure, there's more techniques, there's more things to be done there. So as they accumulate more hours, they are more comfortable and they will be fast-tracked to come back as a senior. Yeah.
You being a technical director, that means you sit in the senior management meetings in an airline, but also you are part of the senior management of the airline. Given the dynamics of the airline industry, especially in Tanzania or Africa, what can you say are the main challenges in running an airline, per se?
As we know, it's basically financial. I think as any other industry, but especially aviation being cash intensive, it's really tricky to run, because that unfortunately in Africa we are not yet model or so prepared to function with financial institutes, being stock markets, being the banks, the commercial banks. We are still in a very primitive era of let me say the financial system. So people are still going to the bank just to borrow few USDs, very few hundreds of thousands. When it comes to the millions, that's another story with the bank. So, and aviation is, as I said previously, is a very cash intensive. So you really need to have people with competence that know what they are doing. Otherwise, you'll be losing money massively. Any repair of an engine costs you millions of dollars. any check that you are running, I mean heavy check on an aircraft, it comes to hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars. So whenever you don't have that money available immediately, it becomes a problem, because the tendency of CEOs in many human, when they are corner, when they put in the pressure, is try to have a way of escaping that. Aviation, there's no escape. You have to do it, you have to do it. So if people go now west and they start doing funny things, that's where the things get complicated. So that's why in Africa we are not so well seen out there, because there's lack of surveillance in many countries. You know, CAs are not so much equipped. They are not very well with competent personnel or enough personnel, enough rules. You will find some guys that are not so straightforward, and they start doing things that are not so good. This will not always, but most of the time, ended up in catastrophe, in things that are seen. So we start building that reputation years back of not being so solid, not being so people that really accomplish these things. So I would say, as an experimented person, the cash, the financing, the economy of health of an airline is what really determines how good and performant this is. And the other thing that I would say it's very important is the size. You know, being small is not fun, it's not good. Being small, I'm talking about the resources. When you have a lot of resources, let us pick an example, Emirates. Emirates having 2-3 aircraft AOG, I mean aircrafts on ground, due to malfunction. There's nothing for them. There's no problem, because they have so many and they manage to just pull from here, put there. Of course, there have to be people behind programming, all that, those changes. But as you are big, you have the resources. Even the financial institution, they don't even have problems in financing those new aircraft, new projects, giving you money. You know, as I said, you need to. So the trust will be there when you are big and you build a brand, you build a whole trust system that is around you. So I would say these two things is crucial.
What is the best part of your job?
The best part of it, my friend, the best part of it is when I see, and I don't get tired of seeing it. It's when I see them taking off, getting out of the ground and flying there, and knowing that you're up, but you give your small contribution for that thing to happen and happen safely. Hey, you've been seeing me in the hangar.
Somebody once mentioned, like, you guys, you are addicted to that Jet A1 smell. Is that true?
It is, my friend. It is like our shot in the vein there. You know, we always, that smell of the jet, the smoke of the jet, the aircraft taking off, that noise, the jet noise, yeah, that's what we live for.
Looking at them when they're taking off, you know, reminds you like you will always be a kid, you know.
It is. And that's what I'm saying. People say, but you never get tired of seeing that. The problem is that even your family now gets that. It's so intensive. They will start also getting that same addiction, you know, because whenever you are, the aviation world is so consuming, so it takes so much of your energy that everybody that surrounds you knows that you're somehow connected to the aviation. And they start, whenever they see an aircraft, now they start doing like you. You see it coming.
Now, having mentioned the family, you just reminded me of one question. Like, as we are so much involved in our jobs, in the aviation, how do you separate the job and the family? You know, avoiding bringing issues from job at home.
Impossible. It's impossible. Yeah. You really need to have some time for the family, that's for sure. But it's impossible. You're not bringing the job to home. If you are in a management position, it's a 24 hours, 7 days job. You get called 7 in the morning, you get called 2 in the morning, you get called 8 in the morning, you are in a restaurant sitting there, phone calls. You need to pick them, you need to, because people are expecting you to give them instructions. Somehow, due to your knowledge or to your, they need some authorizations. So it's a very time consuming and very much, your family need to understand that. That's the tricky part. You making your wife understand that, you know, I really have to pick this call. And trust me, it has been the source of so many problems. It has been the source of my previous marriage ending. Yes, I'm at the second marriage now. So it is so time consuming that sometimes, naturally, people, they have their expectations, you know, you cannot condemn them also. Whenever they are getting to you, they need your time, they need you to dedicate to them. And sometimes they don't understand that particular moment you cannot be there. For example, I lost so many of my kids' anniversary. I lost so many of their presentation at school. Why? Because I've been traveling, or I am in a meeting, or, you know, it happens. And those things are conflict generation and generators inside our family member, yeah. Because those expectations are there from your spouse naturally. And until you get that person that can kidogo balance and understand you, it's not 100%, but she can really trust in it. It takes time, but thank God, my second wife, she is also an aviation person, so she lived that thing, so she knows. She was tied to commercial and finance, but she saw that dynamic, so it's easy. It's much easier to understand and to see that thing happen. Yeah. Yeah.
The next question will be like, what makes the best leader, and how can you describe your leadership style?
That's a tricky one. You know, they say that normally you have 4 types. The one that lets you do whatever, the one that wants to micromanage, the one that is really bossy, you know, or the one that now everything is to negotiate. So I would say what makes a good leader is you have a little bit of each of these things. You cannot be so rigid. You need to adapt yourself to the situations that you are facing. I think the beauty of it, and I learned it with my years of experience, not as a manager, but as a professional, it's all about getting the balance, you know, understand the situation that you are, like in aviation we call it situational awareness. Yeah, knowing what is surrounding you, what is the dynamics, what is expected from you, and then you adapt which of those management styles you have to apply to that moment. So I would say it's a bit of.
So yours, you mean you combine?
Yes, definitely. And this one is something that you can learn in school. And myself, I had promoted so many trainings for aviation management training for the staff, because it's something that also it's really missing in Tanzania. Sorry, it's one of the things that really misses in Tanzania. But yeah, this one, the techniques you can get from the school.
So far, maybe if you have anything that you are proud of with your contribution in the aviation industry in Tanzania or in Africa at large, what would that be?
You know, I would say in Tanzania, this thing of the people that I live with, they always say that I have this touch of a bit of an instructor, a teacher, and passing. I like to help people knowing or learning more, because learning is a process that, yes, you have to have somebody that is transmitting a message, but you need to have the other person that is receiving the message capable of understanding what is the need there. So In other countries where I've been, I wasn't able to do it due to politics, due to, different situation. The government will always tell you, we are investing on the the youth of that country. I had my doubts that those were really an investment that they were doing. But here in Tanzania, specifically with Precision Air, the founding father of the company, he gave me specific instruction when I came in, which is to fulfill his vision that the young Tanzanians should be always the ones to be getting the exposure, to get the training. We need to invest in passing this know-how. Yes, we are bringing the foreigners. They have a cost for the airline, but they have to understand and they have to come with the spirit that they are transmitting this know-how to the local people. So I was giving all the conditions to be safe. Of course, there was here and there some hiccups. I wouldn't say that is a job done, but I was mostly proud of being part of that team that we can start this project of bringing the young Tanzanians closer to and making them, giving them the exposure of the aviation industry and creating the conditions for them to go to the local authority and get their license. Of course, now when you do the recap, there's so many things that you would make a little bit different. But I guess all in all, it was in the 7 years I've been here, it was done with the best of intention. And I'm most happy to see.
Was nominated in an award deal?
Yes, it was the award of the apprentice and program that finally we get, the company got the recognition from the institution in Tanzania. Has been a company that is really putting the effort and making the investment for the young Tanzanians.
So that one is in line with fulfilling the dreams of Mzee.
Yes, for sure. That's it's really a proud because I can feel that not all is done. There's still a lot of improvements in the system to be done, because the next step is making this an ATO, an airline training organization, and so that the guys will not be just confined to the AMO, but we can offer also all the theoretical part, and they can be officially ready to step in and just come to the exams in CEA. So this recognition shows the effort of almost 6 years now that we've been with this program. And yes, we've been giving stuff to all the airlines in the country, but up to now, it wasn't so well recognized. I mean, so now this prize is really showing that people are seeing,
Looking in the future of the aviation industry in Tanzania, what can you say now?
I think I already mentioned a little bit about it. The Tanzanian aviation in this moment is really in a very nice moment, challenging moment to say. It's really challenging, but it's also good because the opportunity. I say good because opportunities are there. And knowing that in the other sides of this is something that happened in other countries, it's just a matter of facing what these people has done, how they've done it, and somehow adapt it to the country. Having the schools, having the infrastructure, having the CAA staff, enough CAA staff, the regulation that can fit there. So I see a bright future for Tanzania because you have all the resources. You have the airport. You have the facilities. You have a country that is so big that has a lot of airports already. I think you are the 5th country in the world with most airports. Yeah, only passed by Brazil and the United States, I think, because Tanzania has a lot of airports. You don't know it, but here you have a lot of airports. And the government is still building more and more. Every Every time we have an announcement that in a city there's going to be a particular airport, that's very good. The challenge will be now, when you have too many, how to control it. The investment in maintenance has to be there. The investment in overseeing has to be there, because yes, this facility needs to be there, but all the infrastructure that surrounds it also needs to be state-of-the-art, to help the airlines to operate there, and to help even the responsibles of those sites to fulfill their mission, which is support the airlines that come to operate there. So it's really tricky. I would say it has to be, again, balanced. So the government needs to be very smart there to take the profit, but the mission and the future is very bright for.
So, Mr. Pablo, Tanzania is one of the countries in Africa which is taking a step to empower women, female aviators into aviation sector. So, the recent statistics released by Tanzania Civil Aviation shows that there are 7 female aircraft maintenance professions in Tanzania. What do you think is the main reason that we have so few female aircraft maintenance professions in the country?
One of the problems that you have in maintenance in aviation is the fact that it's really self-demanding profession. You need to be tough in physical terms because you are carrying sometimes a lot of weight. Sometimes you need to make a lot of effort in terms of keys and, to torque things, etc. But also in terms of the chemicals that you face, because there's so many smells, chemicals involved, things that are not really helping the nature of the women's in this profession. So I would say that's this part of the physical interaction in for the profession that is a challenge for the women. But there is also another step that in Africa we have the tendency of seeing the mechanic parts in it as a male thing, not a women thing. Bolts and nuts are not really women stuff. It's not true. Because, yes, you said 7 of them are 7 engineers, but in our hangar, for example, we have many women, that are being empowered, and they are in training phase to get their license. I think more than 10 of them. In so many areas, not only specifically in direct contact with aircraft, in the offices, being in librarians, technical librarians, being also, in the records, being in the maintenance planning, maintenance engineering. So I must say it's a shame that we don't have more women in there, because whenever we go for positions interview, when women participate, they are the number ones. They are the ones that are really taking the position, and it is quite challenging, because the last interviews that we got for position and apprentice program, almost all of them, all the women that participate got the possibility of getting in. Why? They score the highest score compared to the boys, and the company I work really has. I participate in so many programs that were empowering women. I mean, even days that we replace ourselves with the school kids, the women's, so they can enjoy and face that challenge of being there for a day, following the CEO, following the maintenance manager, following the operation manager. So there's a lot of programs that happens like this. Unfortunately, after COVID period, not so many of this is happening, because companies are more focused in the survival mode, and that's really a pity there. Yeah.
So what needs to be done to increase the number of female aircraft maintenance professions?
I think that the government should continue investing in this thing of empowering. I mean, bringing more people to the school, the more women to be given the opportunity. Also, the workout with the parents, because at that age, the decision making of the parenthood is very important for the young girl to be, motivated to follow the career. So I think the work on the parenthood would be important, but also at the school level to tell that it's not so bad profession, because you think women's in aviation, the first thought they have is to go to ops area, or to be cabin crew, or to be a pilot. There's other areas that they can do. We had a CEO that was a woman for I think 7 years. She's been there for 7 years. So women can really do a good job. And my opinion, personal opinion, only my opinion, the women I work with, they are more serious. They are more focused. They are really tied to the key performance. So they don't mess around and they don't get distracted. So I really appreciate the time that I spent, and I learned a lot from the CEOs I had that were females. So it's all about giving the opportunities, but also there's the culture that needs to be changed slowly. Like, as I said, talking with the parents, that there's no such thing as a job for men and a job for women. So that also will help to give the ladies the opportunity they deserve.
Lastly, which advice can you give the young aircraft maintenance?
It's just be very strict. When if this is really what you want, don't lose your focus. Don't get distracted. The times for the parties, the time for the having the cars, the enjoying the traveling, etc. will come. Those times will come. Focus in being a good professional, in getting the matters that right, to know the profession perfectly, knowing what you're doing, getting the experience, get the exposure, and be strict. Yeah.
I just have one question, quick one. I think you will cover it later. In your role, being in the senior management, did it ever happen, like any time that you were not in agreement with the top management? And in that case, if it happened, like how would you react?
Well, it happens a lot, because even your brother, you come from the same mother, you differ on the opinion. I don't think it's really a problem, getting different opinions. The focus is, at the end of the day, is you get the job done and then in the profit of your industry that you are working. So disagreements might happen, but there are situations that are non-negotiable, special that really move with the core and the essence of your ethics of work, your and knowledge about legal. Right? So not only about the ethics, it's also about what is legal or not to do. So it happens a couple of times that we had situations like this. In both situations, I resigned myself. I had to ask that, yes, I don't agree with the way this is getting. So if you don't really agree, you cannot participate in something. Because as a manager, you are part of the boat. You are rowing together with all your teammates. So if you don't agree, you cannot stay in that boat. You cannot be there and just doing like a dead weight. You need to do something different. So yeah, it happens a couple of times, and I had to ask resignation. And
all right, thank you so much, Mr. Pablo, for this amazing opportunity that you gave us.
Thank you very much for having this opportunity.
Thank you. So this is the end of our interview. We had an amazing opportunity to interview our guest, who is Mr. Pablo Miguel Federico Alves, a seasoned maintenance and engineering manager. in one of the leading airline in Tanzania. He has over 20 years of experience in the aviation sector and a certified and licensed aircraft maintenance engineer and a manager of maintenance teams. I have to read it so that I can confirm that. Okay, so this is the end of our interview. I would like to remind you, just don't forget to follow us on our website, on our social media account, which is Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channel. We also have account on LinkedIn and TikTok. Follow us as Aviation Tanzania. My name is Zena Kasim. Until next time, bye bye.